because the producer wants us to, can you deliver the news, because I don't know it, on Benavidez and Bivol? So, there he is. He's got the picture. He was ready. He really wanted this.
Shout out to Ryan Hafey, the best in the business. But
bump him.
Well, all right. I like him. But so tomorrow we were set for a purse bid, right? And but no purse bid will be had. Dmitry Bivol's lawyer has informed the WBC he is vacating the WBC title. They're not looking to get into any purse bids. They have an obligation to the third Artur Beterbiev fight. So but Turki Al-Ashiki shot this fight down from Jump Street. He let us all know this was never going to happen. I don't think I released a video where I said I'm tempted to say Bivol ducked Benavidez, but and Sean saying no. Go ahead, Sean, but shoot down why that you don't even want to approach that.
I just think that fighters, you get to a point where things are being told to you, and you're going to do what your business is telling you to do. I really want to go on record for saying that I don't believe fighters duck other fighters. I just think that we're too competitive, and I could be all wrong, but I don't think that I am. We're too competitive. When you see a situation where a fight doesn't happen, usually it's because sometimes that fighter wants more money, which we're kind of all entitled. Sometimes fighters do hide behind the business of, well, he's not paying me what I want to get paid. That just happened recently with Boots and the kid from Atlanta.
Ryan
Norman. I don't think it was necessarily that Norman was hiding behind the money, but Norman really wants to get paid. I know how big that fight is. It's bigger than you're telling me it is. And I'm sorry, but the business doesn't make sense for me to have this fight, especially with what you guys are limiting me to, So I don't think it's a duck, but I think at the same time, you got to look at Dmitry Bivol, who's had two fantastic what's the word I want to use? Exhausting fights with Beterbiev. I think that there's more money for that trilogy fight. I think that trilogy fight is bigger from a historical and from a boxing standpoint. And I think that that's what it is that's keeping him right there, wanting to take that third shot, that third risk against Beterbiev. I don't think it's necessarily him not wanting to rumble with the young lion. I don't think so.
No, I tend to agree with you. I don't think Dmitry Bivol is afraid of David Benavidez. And I say I'm tempted to say he ducked him because huh?
No, just go ahead. Keep going.
Well, it's more so it's Turkey killed the fight, before, because if we went to a purse bid, who knows what would have happened? Maybe Benavidez' team would have pulled shenanigans and they would have said, well, we don't want to fight in Saudi. And I was pressing Benavidez' promoter, Sampson, about that. I go, look, I want to cover the fight in America more than anybody, but Bivol's the champion. I said it on the show. If the champion wants the fight to happen in where he won the titles, then you got to go see him where the champ says, but we never got to that point because Turkey shot it down. And so my thing is there's some people trying to say somehow Benavidez is ducking Bivol. Like, oh, this is what he wanted all along, right? And it's like, no. All I'm saying is if anybody's going to get called a duck, it's Bivol. He's the one who's like when Errol Spence was fighting you, Sean.
Right? I'm trying to think of like, when did somebody for me, like when did somebody turn and go a different direction? I was like, all right, cool. I'll catch you in the next one. I can't think of that happening for me.
Well, okay, so Errol, even though you and Errol was a unification, you had a belt just like Crawford had. And it was this excellent fight. It did good on pay-per-view, sold out Staples. But the narrative was still Errol is ducking Terrence Crawford, right?
Right.
And he's being protected by Al Heyman. And
right.
And when Crawford dominated Spence, a lot of those narratives got validated, right?
Right.
Fair enough.
Right.
But now Bivol isn't fighting his mandatory because his promoter said so. And I feel like because David's on the side that the fans usually it's the PBC doing this kind of stuff. And it's like, but no, not in this case. In this case, the guy Benavidez has been asking for these guys to fight. And people that feel like the trilogy holds precedence over Benavidez getting his shot, I get that. I do.
Yeah.
But they've had two really good fights. Not two. Look, Pacquiao and Marquez had a better fight than these two had. And it took them 4 years to fight a second time. It took them 7 years to fight 3 times. You know what they did in the meantime, Sean?
They had other fights.
Fought other great fighters.
Other great fighters.
Yeah,
they didn't just have other fights. Yeah.
If these two guys, Pacquiao, Marquez, Ali, Frazier, Morales, Barrera, if they can fight greater fights than Bivol and Benavidez did, but still see other greats before they meet back up again, then why can't Dmitry Bivol? So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know the timing in terms of age, but you know, I kind of feel like that plays a role in this too. You know, Bivol had a long stint.
40, yeah.
He had a long stint of inactivity, you know, before he's been able to get busy the way that he's been busy in the last 2 years, you know. So I think that kind of plays into it as well. You know, I don't know, man. I said this before. I said that life in general is about timing. So there's a motivational message for y'all right there. Life is about timing, but in boxing's about timing. You can be a Boots Ennis that's just too young, hasn't had enough experience, doesn't have a belt, and the big names just aren't looking at you. The world is looking at you. The world wants to see you, and then you might come to find out like, that might have been a little too soon. I don't think he'll ever say that, but in retrospect, especially when we've seen the way he's boxed recently, it seems as if fights against me, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, 4 or 5 years ago might have been a little too soon for him. That's how it seems. Same thing with Bivol. I mean, same thing with Benavidez. And I've said this before for both Boots Ennis and David Benavidez. Timing has just not been on their side in the game. They're going to reign. They're going to reign for a very long time. And we're starting to see that there's going to be some competition there for Boots. Could be some guys moving up to 47. Could be some guys getting sprinkled in that we didn't know about at 47. He's going to stay at 47 for a little while. But there's some good competition there for him finally, you know. But with Benavidez, it's just a timing thing for him.
I mean, this is back-to-back times where the champion of the division, despite him either being the interim champion or the mandatory, the WBC actually did their job and stripped this time because they weren't going to strip Canelo because they want that 3% no matter what. So the WBC, that's BS on their part. But yeah, for Benavidez, this is back-to-back times where the undisputed champion of the division, for whatever reason, that doesn't want to fight you. That sucks.